money away, giving people fighting over issues.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Martyn Lucas Investor. We come to you live this evening with breaking news. Donald Trump has been convicted and found guilty of all offences, and it's just breaking now.
No. Again, I think the whole thing is a sham. I really think we need to run this country and forget about the personalities and deal with the issues at hand. That's what I think Donald Trump does well. And quite honestly, it's a shame this is the only two people we have running.
I think a lot of people feel that way, Keith. I'm just going to bring in your friend, Gary. You have
My ex-friend. Okay.
You have very different political views. You're going to vote for Biden in November.
Absolutely, yes.
What do you make of this guilty verdict for Donald Trump?
I'm glad to see him finally getting caught at something. He works his way out of everything. From the Mueller report, what his attorney general said isn't what Robert Mueller said. Everything, and with these other three trials that you mentioned, he postpones. He does everything he can to postpone them. And if he were innocent, an innocent man would be saying, come on, let's get this over with. Find me innocent. How about in the hidden documents, you being from England?
What do we think of this? What's your thoughts? What's going to happen tomorrow?
To have him as president. It's top secret stuff.
The markets are crashing.
And if he's not around, you want to know what his opinion is on something? Ask Vladimir Putin. He'll tell you. And Trump wants to pull us out of NATO. How does the English people feel about that? I think it's an invitation to another war.
What I keep hearing time and again, Gary, speaking to people here, especially die-hard Trump voters, his base is unlikely to be moved by this.
We're covering Sky News so you can get the feeling around the world, what the rest of the world think of America. That's why I'm using Sky News.
Affect the overall result in November, this guilty verdict?
They say it could. I really don't know. It's going to be very tight. We have some states that they're going to vote one way. You know, the media system that the Trump voters listen to, I've heard before that first rule of fascism is to discredit the media, and that's all they do. That's all they've been doing. I'm a 69-year-old that voted Republican for over 40 years until Trump came. I voted for Trump the first time. After 4 years of him, there's no way I could do that again. It's just not possible.
You were mentioning before we were having a little chat off camera about why you think this particular case is consequential, the dealings that he had with Stormy Daniels. Do you think the behaviour that's been recapped during this trial is unbecoming?
I'm letting you hear how the rest of the world are seeing this. It's very important.
Well, I'm surprised they're even prosecuting him for this, but at least he gets away with everything. He walks away from everything. And I pay attention to the real news, what he calls fake news. And I was just telling Keith, I bet you didn't even watch the select committee hearings if you're familiar with that about after he got out of office. I watched them. There was 300 witnesses. They were all Republicans. And yet most of the Republican people I know...
You can see how the market's dropped on this news.
They didn't watch it. They don't.
Let me just share this with you right now.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Gary. Gary, they're reflecting on something that we do hear time and again, and that is the view that Donald Trump seems to get away with anything. That's how he got his nickname Teflon Don. Well, now we have a conviction on these 34 counts, 34 guilty counts. He will be likely
He's basically
a convicted
now
felon by the time this sentencing happens. But the question is, how will it affect him politically? And the polls
rape,
are
including
divided on
rape.
that. We've seen various polls over the last couple of months that suggest that
what do you think of that?
voters may well be swayed by a guilty verdict in this case. But there was
I am covering the whole world, Particle Bean.
I've
got 62 countries who watch in 14 languages.
2/3 of registered voters
Everyone has a voice here.
By a guilty verdict for Donald Trump, and in fact 25% of Republican voters would be more likely to vote for Donald Trump as a result of this guilty verdict. So it's certainly a murky, uncertain picture out there, but we'll certainly be speaking to voters here to get their views on whether it will affect the way that they cast their ballot just over 5 months from now.
OK, Martha, for the moment, thank you. Just to recap on that breaking news, significant news that first
we'll have discussion. You can phone in. You can be on the show.
Trial. Well, let's hear now from our US correspondent Mark Stone, who's in Washington D.C. What's the reaction been there?
What an extraordinary moment, Gillian. We have expected that this moment would come, guilty or innocent, there would be a verdict, and yet still, as the moment has come, it is quite extraordinary, a moment of history without question. In terms of reaction, well, yes, we have had a statement, not from Joe Biden, the president, but from the Biden-Harris campaign, from Joe Biden, the candidate, and I will read it to you. It says, "In New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed that he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal gain. But today's verdict does not change the fact that the American people face a simple reality. There is only one way to keep Donald Trump out of the Oval Office: at the ballot box. Convicted felon or not, Trump will be the Republican nominee for president." It goes on to say the threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He is running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator on day one and calling for our Constitution to be terminated so he can regain power and regain and keep power. A second Trump term means chaos, ripping away Americans' freedoms and fomenting political violence, and the American people will reject it this November. That there, a statement from the Biden-Harris campaign. In terms of President Biden, the White House, we've heard only from Ian Sams, who is a spokesperson for the president, who says
we're going to switch over now to another channel. We're trying to cover all perspectives.
Joe Biden, President Biden, is currently at his home in Delaware. It is the anniversary of the death of his son, Beau.
The evidence here was overwhelming. This was not just a case based on Michael Cohen. It was based on David Pecker, who was also an accomplice witness here. It was also based on what Pope Hicks said. It was based on all of that documentation.
We've got a poll running in the chat. Please vote on the poll.
Almost gives you the case in and of itself without listening to one witness. I mean, the documents are extremely powerful in this case.
Mm-hmm. All right, Nick Ackerman, former Assistant Special Watergate Prosecutor, thank you for sticking with us throughout this developing news and, frankly, throughout the course of this trial.
We want to know how it affects the markets. That's what we do here on this channel.
Reminding our Bloomberg television and radio audiences, Donald Trump has been convicted of 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. Let's get back now to our political panel, who is still with us here on set. Matt Gorman, Targeted Victory Vice President, and Kristen Hahn, Rock Solutions partner. So, Matt, we've talked at length here about what this means for the Trump campaign, what it means for the Biden campaign, but they are not the only two who voters are going to have to be deciding on in November. There's a long list of down-ballot races that have to be considered, including a number of very vulnerable Republicans who are in districts.
Let's just pause that a second. Look at the poll so far. We're running a poll in our chat, and this will be put on our X account as well. Do you agree with the convictions? 83% say no. So obviously we have a very strong support here for Donald Trump here in the chat at the moment. Let's see how this changes over the course of this broadcast. Do you agree with the convictions? If you'd like to take part, we will be posting these polls later on our X account. Please do share your thoughts here. And we are completely impartial. I have a green card here in the United States. I'm here as media and news. I can't vote. I am completely impartial and unbiased, bringing you the facts wherever we find them. And we are having a poll now in the chat. We're going to go back to this report at the moment.
His name. So that the convoy with Donald Trump as they make their way away from the courtroom. James Matthews, our US correspondent, is still outside that courthouse. And James, what's the situation there? Are there
we are going to open up the phone lines. You can call in and take part in tonight's event.
Grounds?
Historic evening.
Yeah, still plenty of people about, many media, many members of the public, and, yeah, supporters of Donald Trump, opponents who cheered when that verdict filtered through. Trump obviously on his way back to the more comfortable surroundings of the penthouse suite in Trump Tower. Better for him than the dingy, so described courtroom on the 15th floor of this court building, freezing, as Donald Trump himself described it. I'm with a man who knows a thing or two about Donald Trump, author Michael Wolff. Hi, Michael.
How are you?
Very good.
I know a thing or two about the courtroom also, where I've spent as much time as Donald Trump has spent.
Yeah, well, tell me, first of all, put into words your thoughts about today. What happened in that court, this occasion?
Well, for all of us who have spent the 6 weeks in this trial, it's a dramatic conclusion, and I think for many of us we would think a fitting conclusion. I mean, it was an extraordinarily strong prosecution case. So, you never know what a jury is going to do. But personally, I would say I would have been much more surprised of any other outcome than this.
Did you ever think you would see a former president of the United States convicted in a criminal court?
Well, I think that. And it was, I mean, at some point, I think a certain kind of Stockholm syndrome sets in, or it's like being at summer camp. I don't know. It's like a time out of your life, however. But
we are running a poll in our chat. We will discuss this later.
Really,
do you agree with the convictions?
Reliving the
79% say no.
Moments of the Trump. Of the Trump presidency, of the months.
That's an American jury, American judges. Do you not agree with your legal system? I'd like to know as an Englishman why you don't agree. Let me know in the chat.
After detail was living through this again. The prosecution laid this out, and they laid out a truly reasonable, believable, clear-cut case that Donald Trump became president in part because he corrupted the process.
It was a grubby tale, populated by a parcel of rogues. David Pecker.
I will share everyone's point of view. Everyone has a voice here.
Totally. It's just a sleazeball. There was nobody in this tale who was not a sleazeball. And I think what ultimately, perhaps most of all, resonated with the jury is that
I am in Texas. Yes, I'm in Dallas, Texas. Completely neutral, just reporting the facts. You decide what you feel. But this is a U.S. government. This is a U.S. court.
You've written 3 books about Donald Trump. You spent
jury
some time
who found him guilty. Are they wrong?
How is he feeling
Let me know.
I think he is not a happy camper, I would say. I mean, he is, I'm sure to some degree he expected this. We're in Manhattan. He's in front of a Manhattan jury. From the beginning, it would.
The market has been dropping.
This was not a jury quite of Donald Trump's peers. Certainly, it was not a MAGA jury. It was a Manhattan jury. But having said that, Donald Trump, of course, believes that he can beat everything. And even now, having been convicted on all 34 counts, he still believes he will beat this. He will beat this on appeal, but more importantly, he will beat this in November when he becomes the President of the United States. At least that is from his point of view.
I suppose this trial was about
in November
a loss of control. There were people in charge of Donald Trump, from security at the door to the judge, to the jury, to court officers. This is a man who was the commander-in-chief, leader of the free world, a man who enjoys being
particle
in charge,
beam,
being in control.
You're not making any sense. Let me just mute this a moment. You're saying media is shameful. Texas is not neutral. I am media. I am neutral. I have a green card. I cannot vote. I am not sharing my opinion. I don't have an opinion. I'm just reporting the story, the facts, the information, allowing you a voice. Don't do what Donald Trump says and everything is rubbish and pointless and scams and everything else. I am completely neutral, influencing not just the US, but the world. How am I influencing anybody? I'm providing you with the facts. We are talking to people. I'm talking to you, talking to everybody. Everybody has a voice. Everybody has a comment. I'm showing you all news stories from all around the world. We are in 62 countries, 14 languages, and this is just presenting the news. I'm not presenting a political argument. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm simply giving you the facts for you to decide what you think yourself. So let's be absolutely clear what's going on here. I am the most honest person on YouTube TV. I try to help people, giving you the facts around the world.
4 counts guilty. We don't know. We don't have a model here. But having said that, we also know
Thank you very much, Particle Beam. Apology accepted, most certainly. Thank you for your time.
The most staggering, the things that would have felled any other politician, he has a gift for playing them to his advantage.
Yeah. And finally, Michael, just put this into context for us.
As an Englishman, please tell me about your system. Please tell me in the chat what you feel.
You know, I think what will be...
Invite your friends to join in and have a voice. You can call in on the show as well.
Most confounding, and the thing that will be the historic break is if, in fact, a convicted felon is elected to the presidency of the United States. So I think that is now the issue. And he will make this trial his issue. And he will rally his part of the country to see it that way. So, you know, this already was an historic campaign. This makes it even a greater moment in history.
Great stuff. Michael Wolff, always a pleasure. Thanks very much indeed for your time and for your thoughts as the dust settles on this historic verdict. Donald Trump convicted, back in the luxury of Trump Tower right now, but he will return to Lower Manhattan, to the criminal court building for sentencing on the 11th of July.
James, thank you. We think we are looking at a convoy in which Donald Trump is travelling away from the courthouse, possibly to Trump Tower. We saw him briefly as he left the courthouse.
I'd like your thoughts. There will be a discussion. You can phone into the show.
In which he said that the trial had been rigged, that the judge was corrupt, and that it was a disgraceful trial, and that he will keep fighting on. He will be sentenced, we're told, on July the 11th, 10 a.m. July the 11th will be the sentencing hearing, and that is just 4 days before the Republican National Convention, 4 days before it takes place. James, thank you. We think we are looking at a convoy in which Donald Trump is
I'm just going to share with you. I want to do a poll here.
Trump Tower.
You may hear a repeat there, but I want to do a poll here on our X account. This will go
which he said that the trial had been rigged, that
on
the
our
judge
main
was
account.
Corrupt,
I'll let you listen into that for the moment. As we take a pause, just for a sec, I'll keep the sound coming
sentenced, we're told, on July the 11th, 10 a.m.
I want your
July
thoughts on
will
this.
be the sentencing hearing.
This will go around the world. Donald Trump found guilty.
Convention, 4 days before it takes place. We believe that this is an historic sentencing on all 34 counts. The first former US president to be convicted at a criminal trial. And as I say, the sentencing to take place just 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Let's cross to Mark Stone, who's in Washington, D.C. for us now. And Mark, what's been the reaction there in Washington?
Okay.
Well, first of all, I just think that that point that the
Also,
sentencing comes so soon before the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee is in and of itself extraordinary. It will be another remarkable moment. Of course, the convention is the point at which the candidate
of the world
is formally becomes the candidate. It is that moment when the Republican Party comes together around their man, the man they want to be the president of the United States, a man who, their man, is now a convicted felon and will have been sentenced a few days before. Will he be sentenced to jail? We just don't know. So perhaps he wouldn't even be at that convention. These are all questions that are as yet unanswered. I have to say there are many commentators who believe it is extremely unlikely that he would face jail time for this. But then there were many commentators who said they did not believe he would be found guilty, and yet he has. So take nothing off the table, I think, is probably the advice there. On your question, well, yes, we have had a statement from the Biden-Harris campaign. It is interesting in the way it's framed because it's not a statement from President Biden. It's a statement from candidate Biden and from Kamala Harris as well. And it says in New York today,
so we are doing this
no
right
one
now.
is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly...
Let me just pause the audio. What we've got here is Donald Trump is found, this is on X, okay? Donald Trump is found guilty. Do you agree with the verdict? Please vote in the poll. Yes, no, or undecided. Also, how will the US be seen by the rest of the world? Please comment. So there you go. You can have your say now. Copy link. I'll put this in the chat. Here is the X poll. You might want to share this to the world and take part in it. But welcome to our live studio, wherever you are around the world. We have 62 countries and 14 languages. Donald Trump is found guilty. Do you agree with the verdict? Please vote in the poll. Also, how will the US be seen by the rest of the world? Please comment. At a time of instability, how will this be seen around the world? I've just put the link in the chat. I'll pin it to the top. X poll. Please, we'll be looking at all these views here. Please comment and vote. I will pin this to the top. There we go. Okay. Pin it to the top. Pin the message there. Right. The message is now at the top. We've got a huge support so far for Donald Trump. 82% do not agree on the poll on the channel. Let's go back to some more breaking news. We'll keep updating you with this as we go throughout the night. Here we go.
And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA, and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win. Because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now. From prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists. And they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
Why should voters vote for a convicted felon?
That was Donald Trump outside the courthouse reacting to that historic verdict. Well, let's bring in our James Matthews, who has been following this case for the last 6 weeks. And James, you've been following every twist and turn. And what we heard there from Donald Trump is classic Trump. He described it as a rigged trial. He said that he will carry on fighting. What we really expected him to say.
Yeah, he's been saying that day in and day out, isn't he? And I suppose that
everyone gets a voice here. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. Share this out. This is the only place you can have a completely neutral opinion, and I will share it all.
Reorientates the American public on to matters that will benefit him politically, and that is his challenge from now. But throughout that political challenge, he carries with him this most significant moment in American history, legally and politically. The 45th President of the United States is a convicted felon, convicted of a felony, and the question, of course, is how that plays in to the political campaign. To what extent does that weigh him down moving forward? The plan clearly is, and has been on a daily basis, to dismiss this as a political witch hunt, the practice of a weaponized justice system. And that has got him so far. Indeed, that has him even in the polls with Joe Biden. There have been opinion polls that say, should he be convicted, then that would be significant.
Let's update the poll.
Switch their votes away from him.
This is how you are voting.
Whether or not this is the shock that it perhaps
63% of you do not agree.
At another time in American politics without Donald Trump, but
no comments though. No one's got an opinion. There's no comments on this. Please comment.
I have to say, we're standing here
have a voice.
Media. I can tell you the world's media were on the verge of going home for the day. It was 4:30. We get a live text feed on the laptop. Judge Marchand was about to send the jury home, about to bring them in, to send them home for the day, into a third day of deliberation. Suddenly, we get this note from the jury, we have a verdict, give us 30 minutes to sort out the paperwork. So it was game on, and having been told that Trump was animated, chatting quite happily, more happily than he had been throughout the trial, we were told, suddenly there was anxiety on his face, anxiety, a sense of despair in the defense team, and it wasn't looking good. The longer it had gone on, the further we would have got into hung jury territory. It was quite a speedy verdict. The writing felt like it was on the wall, and it most certainly was. I suppose the big question, Yalda, is, you know, there was not guilty as a potential verdict, it was guilty. I think there was also whatever as a potential verdict in the court of public opinion. There's not much that we hadn't heard before, actually, in terms of this story. We heard directly from the key players some valuable insights, intriguing insights, but the crime itself and the mechanics of it, that has been played out through the media over the course of many months.
What excruciating detail that's been. I mean, you've described it in so much detail in the course of when we heard from Stormy Daniels and then Michael
Just
Cohen.
going to just mute that just a moment. We're here today to give the opportunity for everyone to discuss and have their opinion. We're running polls on X, and we're running polls here on the main channel itself. A big concern here. How does this look across the rest of the world? It's very, very important. How does this look to the rest of the world? How will this affect the view of the world towards America and America's outlook? Do you agree with this? Do you agree what's happened today? And how do you think this is going to play out? If you'd like to have your voice, everyone's comments for or against will be shared on the screen. Anyone can call in to the show. We'll open up the phone line. You can call in, have your voice, say what you feel. We're also running a poll as well on X, and I don't want you to be lazy. As people are very often the case. I tell you the truth, right? People are lazy. They will vote because it's easy and don't actually put words together to express their thoughts. So we're running a poll right now. The link is in the chat, pinned to the top. Do you agree with the verdict? Please vote in poll. Also, how will the US be seen by the rest of the world? Please comment. So far, no is 73%. You do not agree with this. So we've only had 15 votes so far, though. We want to get a lot more. The comments, let's look at the comments. This is what you're saying. This is what... Are you all right, Leah? Oh, I thought I heard something in the background. Everything's fine. John Granfor has just commented, I think that this is a perfect opportunity for any bad actors to take advantage of the turmoil. I agree with that. I think the US could now suffer from instability. People around the world will go, the US president, if he became the president, is a convicted criminal. It could send a lot of people into a very violent state. People get very angry. All kinds of reactions. As an Englishman looking on here, this concerns me greatly. This is an ugly day for the world. Everyone can feel it. Our best qualities are being used against us. We were too naive, says Gary Aaron. I really appreciate these comments. I will reply to all of these comments. Thank you so much indeed. Give everybody a voice here. So anyway, let's carry on. If you want to vote, it's in the chat. If you want to go below the video, just here. Please do click subscribe. We're bringing news to you all the time, 12 hours a day. Smash the like button to share this out to more people. We don't just want a one-sided argument. We want everyone to have a say. Tap the like button and click the share. Get everybody in here sharing this information so we can discuss with the world and have an open forum for everyone. Let's go back to what we are hearing right now.
Yeah, but
Here we
Trump
go.
told me to do it. His statement within the past few minutes is this: today is an important day for accountability and the rule of law. While it has been a difficult journey for me and my family, the truth always matters. I want to thank my attorneys, Daniel Perry and Joshua Cole, for their invaluable guidance and support throughout this process. So there you go, Cohen, clearly happy. An old friend, but modern day foe of Donald Trump. The two, Trump calls Cohen a rat. And Cohen has much to say about Donald Trump on his daily podcasts and so on. He came to court saying he wanted accountability. The question was, would the jury buy into his evidence? This is a man whose credibility has been seriously undermined by his own actions. A man who has been convicted himself, has spent time in jail for dishonesty offences.
I'm covering the news because it will affect the stock market, absolutely. And that's what we do. We cover the news. This is historic news and very, very important day.
Michael Cohen, saying exactly what you've said. In fact, in their closing statements, they described him as the gloat, the greatest liar of all time, and really tried to sort of muddy the waters around Michael Cohen, saying if you're basing all of this on Michael Cohen, you mustn't, because he is a convicted liar.
Yeah. They call him the greatest liar of all time. He has delivered one of the most significant American courtroom verdicts of all time, hasn't he? What the prosecution said was, look, we know this guy is a liar. He himself will tell you he's a liar, and he did, in a very composed manner. Big questions about whether he would blow up or take the bait from the defense, who questioned him with very difficult questions, very pointed questions over the course of 2 days. But the prosecution said, look, we didn't pick this guy up at the witness store.
My job, day trader, is to cover news. It's what I do. I go live here 12 hours a day. This is news. This is important. I'm sharing information. It's my job. This is how I earn my living. I presume you get paid to do your job, the day trader. This is my job to present media and report and news. And that's what I do. And this does affect the market. It does affect people. So I'm covering it. Yes, I'll earn some money. Probably about $2 for this broadcast. About $2. And you can go and check. I've got no shame about that. I'm assuming when you do your job, you get paid too.
And he is still in New York City. Let's have a listen.
Oh dear, what's going on here? This is going to send America into turmoil, I think.
Okay, we just saw Donald Trump there waving at some cheering crowds in New York City. So there you go. James, Donald Trump remaining defiant, showing his supporters that he's going to fight on. And he did say, didn't he, that this is a rigged court, it's a rigged sort of whole system, and I'm focused on November the 4th, and that's when the people will decide.
Yes, and we'll see what the people make of what they have heard throughout this case, not just the verdict, but also the story that unfolded. I mean, we heard an ugly tale, a very dark tale, told by a parcel of rogues, not just Michael Cohen, himself a convicted felon, but people like...
Day trader, you are obviously entitled to your opinion. I am giving everyone a voice, including you. You're not a member of my channel, and I'm giving you a voice. I have a right to broadcast my show. I am news. This is news. This is what I do. And if I earn $2 for doing this, I do, right? That's my right, I think, as it is your right to do whatever it is you do for your job. I'm trying to be fair and open and honest, but this is still my right to do this, and that's what I'm doing. I'm giving everyone an opinion, everyone a view, completely neutral.
And he would catch them. He would pay the person money, make sure that story never entered the public arena to Trump's benefit. And he also spread negative stories about his rivals. At the time, Ted Cruz was running to be the Republican nominee. Pecker planted a story in the National Enquirer that implicated Ted Cruz's
I'm sharing
father
everyone's
in
comment.
nothing less than the assassination of JFK. So that's the kind of way that David Pecker operated, and Trump was very much party to that.
Thank you,
so there
Zero.
are questions about that story itself. You have this spread of misinformation, which, you know, to one argument would be a gaslighting of the American public, just misrepresenting this individual who's running.
Thank you, Chris.
To be their
Appreciate it.
president, an individual.
Please, if you could all tap the like button and share this out. I would like more people to be here to discuss and share their opinions with me. I want to know what you think.
Together with the Stormy Daniels episode.
We are running a poll on X. Please vote.
Interestingly, Melania Trump, to whom he was married at the time this took place in 2006, she never showed up.
Everyone has a chance to vent their
every lawyer I spoke
thoughts
to said,
here.
well, if you want the support of your family, if you want to influence the jury with the optics on a case like this that involves an affair with a porn star, you bring your wife with you. I wonder.
Particle Beam, I'm very sorry, that's not accurate at all. I appreciate you say you like my show, but this is your TV media coverage is sheer propaganda. What are you talking about? I'm showing you all news outlets, not just Sky News, and we are just reporting the facts. The facts. I'm showing you the facts. There's no opinion here whatsoever. What propaganda is there? We'll go over now to some other news, if you like. We'll show you. You tell me what news you want me to cover, and I'll look at all the news. This is Bloomberg, the business channel. How are they covering it? Yeah, but Particle Beam, if you're watching other channels, you're only seeing one channel. You're seeing more opinions here than anywhere else. You can't speak on Bloomberg. You can't speak on Sky News, can you? No. Here, everyone's getting a voice. So please be honest and fair.
Is whether it's going to change any votes. Yeah. And I was just looking back at our polling from January, before any of these cases started, when we asked, would this change your vote? And while overall half of voters said it would change their vote, when we dig into the details, only 17% of people who said they would vote for Donald Trump this November said a conviction could change their vote, might change their vote.
Yes, this is live breaking news.
17% could be the difference in a very close election, as we expect this to be. So we'll do some more polling on this. We'll check and we'll see how people are reacting to this.
Good time to get back in the field, it sounds like.
It is, yes.
To get the pulse at least on this. Boy, there's a lot to talk about here, Megan, when you consider what is next for Donald Trump and what's next for the lawmakers who are either trying to support him or vie for a job in his potential next administration. The hearings, I suspect, are going to start imminently. What's Capitol Hill going to be doing, at least in the Republican conference in the House, Republican caucus in the Senate, in what appeared to be a very quiet summer ahead?
Sure. So there's going to be a lot of posturing, not a lot of actual legislating. We're going to see that most likely in the Oversight Committee led by James Comer and the weaponization, the government weaponization subcommittee that Jim Jordan leads, as well as the Judiciary Committee.
Okay, let's take another point of view. You've asked for CNN, Fox, you've asked for other things. So let's take a full spectrum. Let's have a little
Joe
look.
Biden, that has fallen by the wayside.
Let's take a look from another element.
If they thought he was credible, but ultimately they decided he was, and they relied on that testimony as corroborated by the other testimony presented by the prosecution, and decided that the former president was guilty here.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what you think will happen next. We know that Donald Trump is likely to be sentenced on July the 11th. What happens between now and then beyond that?
So there's a whole process to prepare for sentencing. The Trump's team is going to gather all of the mitigating evidence they can gather, statements and background information, and all of put that together to present to the judge, in their favor. The prosecution is going to rely on the testimony that was presented during the course of this trial to paint a picture to the court about why.
Okay, let's have a look at this now. This is from Fox point of view. How are they presenting the news?
And knows the state law. I know.
I'll cover all.
This is riddled with reversible
I will cover all
error.
channels.
I know that there
Let
was
me
no
know your
basis
thoughts.
to
What you'd like me to
charge
cover?
This crime, this alleged crime, and to resurrect dead misdemeanors based upon non-unanimous federal violations of the election law or of the tax law. So, I mean, you've got that, but there's also a gut punch to the criminal justice system in the United States. People realize we are no longer safe anymore. And it's because of the progressive left agenda of making sure that we don't keep people in jail. And, they're out there with 33 arrests, but, they're still assaulting people or violently attacking.
You see, this isn't pleasant to hear. You've got everybody now getting really, really angry. No one's listening anymore. People are shouting. These are news reporters getting all aggressive and threatening and scary. It's not nice. This isn't looking good around the world.
And now they're going to return a verdict and say, oh, he's guilty. He's definitely guilty. This is a jury pool made out of 85 to 90% of the people are anti-Trump, not pro-anybody, anti-Trump. That's the jury pool. We knew it. We have a judge who wasn't picked out of the wheel or out of the drum, as all of us judges are. And he was a judge who was selected, not just for the Trump organization, not just for the this case.
So we'll also show, I believe, in America, your other channel would be CNN. Let's see how they cover the news. We're going to cover it from all angles. Everyone has a voice. Everyone has a say. We've got to cover everybody's opinion. If there's something that I'm not covering, let me know, and I will more than happily cover it. I want to know what your thoughts are in all of these thoughts, and we'll try to get to the, find out what you think is best. Let's see what's live here with CNN right now. Have they got anything live running now? Let's have a quick look. I'm sure they have. It doesn't really show their live feed the way it should do. Let's have a little look. It's a bit unclear. I'm trying to give everyone a voice, but they don't seem to have a running live. That's a bit strange. Where is their live feed? They don't seem to have a live feed there. That's a bit weird. Live. Nothing really shows it's live. That's a bit strange. Let's try another channel. I have no idea why CNN is presenting itself like that. That's a bit weird. They're just videos. Okay, if we can't show it, we can't show it, I guess. But we'll do our best.
Get it anywhere else.
We're playing commercials there. Let's not look at that. Let's go back to the news. We want to make sure we get all the real information here.
Go into Friday. I certainly didn't think it was going to go into next week. This is
You're welcome,
its
Mike.
way,
It's a historic evening for America.
The defendant,
a lot of
was
noise
the
and
president
shouting
of the United
going on.
States, and maybe
I'm trying to
the
just find the
president of the
news.
United States again. This was pretty cut and dried.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, it's quite extraordinary that the way in which this happened, given he was the Commander-in-Chief of the United States. This is historic on so many levels.
It is, and I think we talk about, there's many people that think that this is going to have an impact, and the question is, what is the impact? Some people actually think he's going to be elected because that this is going to help him moving forward, because people view this as political, and others think that this may have an impact and negatively towards him. I think it'll be interesting what happens in the next several months. I mean, first of all, he has to get sentenced. I think everyone assumes there'll be no jail time. And it'll be interesting, even in the debates, how it's discussed, what Joe Biden says during the debates and how he responds to it. I think we've already gotten a sense of what he plans to say, because he always says the same thing.
Okay, I've got the moment here that Donald Trump speaks. Let's see what his opinion is. He's just about to come out now and speak. You might like to hear how he addresses the everybody. This is it. Was his first reaction. Big moment for him, I'm sure.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. But the real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. You have a Soros-backed DA and the whole thing. We didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now, from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble. But this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
There we go. What do you make of that?
You are the real jury, not those.
We're running a poll. We want your thoughts on it.
Who pretended to be the jury.
And have the American people been listening? I mean, has it helped him?
Wow, scary stuff.
Well, it hasn't
what a day.
hurt him, and he is, and I guess it probably has helped him. I mean, he is ahead at this point today in every key poll.
Which is also, I think, what makes Donald Trump so unusual. When you think about all of these things.
Okay, the poll.
Has happened
I'm just going to mute this a second. The poll on X is becoming more balanced now. People are starting to be not so sure about it. So we'll share with you over here. This is the poll. I'm asking you, do you agree with the verdict? Donald Trump found guilty. Do you agree? Please vote in poll. Yes, 33%. 63% here say no. So it's not as unanimous as it is here on YouTube. More people are voting. More people having their views. And we got comments coming in now as well. Let me see what the comments are. Let me refresh this, because I want people's opinions. I don't just want easy clicking on a button. I want actual comments. Gary said, "This is an ugly day for the world. Our best qualities are being used against us." Why wouldn't you agree with the verdict? If he's guilty, then he's guilty. If he's an innocent, then a jury would have found him guilty. Wouldn't have found him guilty. It's not an opinion, says Pablo. A grand jury viewed enough evidence to indict him. Another jury vetted by both prosecution and defense found him guilty beyond reasonable doubt. People worship this criminal con artist because they love how he hates, because that's what inside him and that's what it's inside them too. That's a very strong view from N. Evermore. Thank you very much for your thoughts. Isn't the purpose of having your, I mean, I'm looking at this as an Englishman, looking at your country as a neutral person. I live in Texas, green card, I can't vote, but I want your opinions. Do you not think that's what the purpose of the verdict is? I mean, otherwise, what is the point of a jury? If we don't believe what the jury does, why have a jury? Everyone's always innocent, everyone's always guilty. I don't know what the point is. How does, please go and vote. The poll is pinned into the chat. Let's hear some more. Here we go. Very big night for America.
By fighting back.
And already we've seen that. I mean, we saw him walk through the streets of New York and sort of show defiance and not sort of show any level of remorse, I guess.
He hasn't, although I have to say he's been, Martyn has impressively...
Let me share this with you.
Yeah, he for Donald Trump, he was somewhat threading the needle on the gag order. But then he made the gag order
we're hearing everyone's side, everyone's view.
On the gag order, they silenced me. So again, it's all he is. Donald Trump, for whatever he is very canny about how he plays his advantages here.
DJT, yes, the stock.
In the morning and the afternoon, and what that means.
Absolutely, Donald Trump media.
I mean, essentially pushing everything else off the news. I mean, he's led
it's
the
dropped.
News cycle.
Look at this, Donald Trump media.
For Donald Trump, it doesn't matter whether it's good
crashed
or bad
after
event,
hours. It's gone down. There you go.
Donald
Trump media has crashed after hours tonight.
For the next 5 or 6 months.
Look at that.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's gone through the floor.
Julie, thank you so much. We really appreciate all of your analysis and for joining us here on the program. Well, you're looking at some live images there of some protesters outside the court there in New York, chanting and holding up signs. Trump is guilty is the sign.
Of course it affects the markets. It's instability.
And wave at
That's how the markets work. They use the excuse to dump stocks in situation of uncertainty.
We are also
it absolutely does affect the markets.
The Manhattan District Attorney, the man who pushed for the charges against Donald Trump. That is likely to begin in the next few minutes. As soon as it begins, we will be bringing that to you live. And you're looking at those live images. Actually, these are of earlier, just about half an hour ago, of Donald Trump waving at supporters, saying earlier that he would fight on and that this was
We're covering all views, all angles. Everyone has a voice.
Case
John Kay says, what a joke.
And that he would continue to fight till November and the November elections. Well, let's hear now from Joseph Cotry-Monson,
absolutely affects the markets.
lawyer
Of course
who
it
joins
does.
us from Manchester. Thank you so much, Joseph, for joining us. I know that you worked on the alleged Facebook hacking. Sorry, no, my auto cue is moving on. But I know that you've also worked alongside some of Donald Trump's lawyers. If you could just give me your reaction.
Tomorrow the markets could crash. Tomorrow, yeah.
Yes. Well, good evening. My awareness of the Trump machine, as you're correct in saying, goes back to that Cambridge Analytica US election fraud allegation of around the same time, the run up to the 2016 election. And the rule we stuck to in that case, my firm was representing the chief of operations turned whistleblower.
I don't think God can make the stock market go up tomorrow. It's people buying and selling the stock. That's what moves the stock.
No matter what the temptation,
I wish you the very best praying for it, but I don't
to the
think God's
evidence,
going to make the
not
stock
according
market
to
go
the
up for
politics.
you
Of
any
course,
more
that's
than
not
it's going to
how
make it
Trump
go down
does
for
it. It's
somebody
not how
else.
he's done it in his pre-trial
it'll do what people
conduct
do.
and during the trial outside the courtroom, and even engaging, I think, properly with the proceedings. He didn't give evidence in his own behalf. All of those times that he was saying, and I will speak in court, I will answer questions. Of course, he never likes to get close to a situation where his answers can find him out.
Yeah, he certainly spoke at the beginning in the mornings, for about 10 minutes to the press, and then at the end of the day, but never in court. And we was just speaking to Michael Wolff there, the author, who said, you wouldn't want to be Trump's lawyers right now because they really would be getting it in the neck.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to do, isn't there? Because he's now a presidential candidate, a former president of the United States of America, leader of the free world, and he is now a convicted felon. And while prison is unlikely, nobody can or has ruled out the possibility. These charges are low-level felonies, but felonies nonetheless, and aggravated substantially because they go directly to the integrity of the 2016 presidential election. So for their type, they are immensely serious. And while he will be furiously, as he's given us some clues, some breadcrumbs in some of his media statements about some of the things he's unhappy about the fact that he wasn't allowed to call loads of expert evidence as to election law for the jury, and also extra evidence, bad character evidence, we call it, relating to Michael Cohen's credibility and even a venue change. He'll be preparing all that, but the reality is the judge was right in all of those things.
We'll have
anything that relates
to
have
a vote
the
now,
findings of a jury,
and
in the US,
we'll see
unlike in the UK,
who would like to call in into our show.
That favors the defense and prevents.
Let's have a vote.
Ironically, that's precisely the reason that a defendant can get away with making these prejudicial
statements. If you would like to call in,
it's because
say yes.
Both sides have
if you don't want to call in and you don't want to have a voice, say no. I want to see how many people want to call in and be part of tonight's show. If you want to call in, say yes. If you don't want to call in, say no.
And I guess at the end of the day, the prosecution delivered, Michael Cohen delivered.
He did, and he wasn't an easy witness for the prosecution to rely on, was he? In fact, looking at the three of them, Michael Cohen, he's a self-confessed liar. His evidence is essentially to that effect. He's somebody who lied for and on behalf of Donald Trump. He's somebody who also had to concede in cross-examination that he had stolen from the Trump organization. The prosecution were very clever at not overplaying their hand in this regard. They said you should regard him as a guide through the evidence, a tour guide through the evidence, not necessarily somebody who tells you the truth on everything. And that's good because, of course, what they had was a broad picture. They had Stormy Daniels
covering all
well,
the angles here tonight. You can all have a voice, and we'll even have a live phone in as well if you want one.
Took the payments in the first place as a kind of form of bribery or blackmail. And of course, the National Enquirer head, Pecker, confessing to being part of a catch and kill conspiracy to influence, presumably with the effect of influencing people's opinions in advance of the 2016 election, also not attractive. But that, plus the paper trail, a chorus of voices, it was a messy case. Prosecution recognized it and still managed to get it over the line. I think really that speaks to their judgment, but also the quality of the evidence and the fact that the jury were able to hear everything and coming back with a quick verdict like that, never good for the defense, a quick verdict in a complex case. It really shows that they were convinced.
We're about to get to a statement now.
Verdict. Thank
the
you so much,
DA
Joseph
are about to speak, and we can hear what they have to say, and we can have a live phone in.
And giving
now,
us a sense of...
I will tell you what we're going to do, because our phone-ins that we do, we don't want scammers, bots, trolls, swearing, shouting. So we want a very good debate. So we reserve that to our members only. We don't have any Tom, Dick and Harry calling in. You have to be a member of our channel. It's only a couple of bucks, but it stops the bots, the scammers, people coming in. So we will have a live debate. If you want to be a member of our channel, there is the link. If you are on an iOS device, you will need to use a browser and select desktop version. There is the link. And anyone can have a voice. I'm sorry, but if we open it up without being members, we get all kinds of crazy people doing bad stuff and it gets all out of control. So, all right. Anyway, we're about to get an announcement. Any
President
second
Biden,
now.
but from candidate Biden, from the Biden-Harris campaign, who have released a statement. And while we wait for Alvin Bragg, the district attorney, I'll read you the statement. It says, in New York today, we saw that no one is above the law. Donald Trump has always mistakenly believed he would never face consequences for breaking the law for his own personal
We're bringing
gain.
you impartial, balanced news. Anyone has a voice. Anyone can call in.
Reality.
Members only, so we don't get bots and scammers. That's all. It's only a couple of bucks to verify yourself.
Convicted felon or not,
It's not
Trump
about the
will
money.
be the Republican nominee for president. And it goes on to say, the threat Trump poses to our democracy has never been greater. He's running an increasingly unhinged campaign of revenge and retribution, pledging to be a dictator, as he said, quote, on day one. And so it goes on. That is the statement from the Biden Harris campaign. In terms of President Biden, not candidate Biden, well, nothing at the moment. Just a short line from one of his spokespeople, Ian Sams, who says, we respect the rule of law. We have no additional comment. But Yelda, I can tell you too that over the course of the past week, there has been some noises, some suggestion that President Biden has been mulling over how to react to this moment. As president, should he address the nation or not? And the suggestion is that he would, that he wanted to use a White House setting to address
Donald
the nation.
Trump media
no
stock dropped 7% after hours.
Because of course,
Here
like
it
all
is.
of us, we didn't know when this verdict would
Stock
come.
has gone down.
Today, President
People
Biden
have dumped
is
it.
in Delaware. It's the anniversary of his son
Donald Trump supporters,
Beau's death, and so
I
he's
mean, they're the
marking
ones
that
that own
moment
it.
with his family
They've dumped it.
at
So
his
what's
home
going
in
on
Delaware.
here? Very
But tomorrow he is
interesting
due back at the White House,
situation
so there is
there.
an opportunity there for him to address the
We'll
nation.
discuss that
should he
tomorrow, I'm
choose.
sure.
I wonder whether the guilty verdict might make it easier for him to address the nation, because he can make some of the points that were made in that statement. A non-guilty verdict, if he had addressed the nation with a non-guilty verdict, perhaps that would be seen to undermine a jury. In terms of what happens now, though, well, I think the polling is fascinating because, as Michael Wolff was saying a little earlier on, the polls simply haven't moved. Views are locked in, and when you travel the country as we do, you sense that people just haven't changed their views, and I don't think that this trial necessarily will. Yes, there were some polls that suggested that supporters of Donald Trump, if he was found guilty, might look again at which way they would vote, but not a great number. And the most recent poll from NPR, National Public Radio today, says that
Let's
overall,
go and look at our poll.
Of voters
Let's
that
see
they
how it's
polled said
changing.
a guilty verdict would make no difference to their vote. 3/4, 76%,
Here is the poll.
said the same of a non-guilty vote. So either way,
34
voters
votes.
simply not
I'm
moving
asking you, do you
on-
agree with the
on way
verdict?
that they
Please
would
vote in the poll.
depending
Yes,
on
29,
what the outcome of this
64,
this trial
no,
was.
and
Remember too,
undecided.
Yelda, that this,
Some of the comments. Let me bring you some of the comments that you have made here. I'll read out the new ones. I've asked you how it will be seen around the world. And we've got no more new comments. I've read these ones out already, so I don't want to read them out again. Let's have a little look here. I think that's a perfect opportunity for bad actors to take advantage of the turmoil. Friend, why do you vote? Why do you think the vote is what it is? I watched it. I appreciate you not bashing him, but you made a lot of claims without any evidence yourself. No, I'm not. I appreciate you saying I've not bashed him. I'm not on any side. I'm simply reporting the facts. I've got no opinion. I'm just sharing the facts with you. That's it. Let's carry on. We've got an announcement shortly.
And how the judges usually mark these sentences, about 6 to 8 weeks since the verdict comes out. But of course, it's also 4 days before the Republican convention in Wisconsin, where
that's exactly why we have a membership, to stop people like you, the bag of holding, who wants to talk rubbish. So you're right. People who want to spam will not spend $1 to do it. And that's what it takes to stop spammers. So you're right. Here we go.
10 minutes at the end in the afternoon to tell them that this entire thing was rigged and this entire thing was a sham.
Yeah, unless, of course, he goes to jail, although I think the suggestion is that will not happen. I think we can see Alvin Bragg and his team approaching the podium now. So when they start to speak, we will be quiet. But yes, 4 days before the moment where he is officially crowned as the Republican Party nominee for president. Let's listen in now to the district attorney in Manhattan.
First and foremost, I want to thank the jury for its service. Jurors perform a fundamental civic duty. Their service is literally the cornerstone of our judicial system. We should all be thankful for the careful attention that this jury paid to the evidence and the law and their time and commitment over these past several weeks. 12 everyday New Yorkers, and of course, our alternates, heard testimony from 22 witnesses, including former and current employees of the defendant, media executives, book publishers, custodians of records, and others. They reviewed call logs, text messages, and emails. They heard recordings. They saw checks and invoices, bank statements, and calendar appointments. This type of white-collar prosecution is core to what we do at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. In the 1930s, District Attorney Thomas Dewey ushered in the era of the modern, independent professional prosecutor. For now nearly 90 years, dedicated professionals in this office have built upon that fine tradition. A major part of our practice during that nearly 90 years has been public integrity work, including cases involving jurists, local and state electeds, public servants, and others. I want to thank this phenomenal prosecution team, embodying the finest traditions of this office: professionalism, integrity, dedication, and service. They are model public servants, and I am proud and humbled to serve side by side with them. The 12 everyday jurors vowed to make a decision based on the evidence and the law, and the evidence and the law alone. Their deliberations led them to a unanimous conclusion beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Donald J. Trump, is guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree to conceal a scheme to corrupt the 2016 election. And while this defendant may be unlike any other in American history, we arrived at this trial and ultimately today at this verdict in the same manner as every other case that comes through the courtroom doors, by following the facts and the law and doing so without fear or favor. I want to conclude by expressing deep gratitude to the NYPD and the officers of the Office of Court Administration for securing the courthouse, all of our safety, making sure the courthouse and all of the other matters that are important in their own right continued seamlessly. They will continue to be and have always been incredible partners. Thank you.
And do you plan to request a prison sentence for this conviction? And do you think that Donald Trump's multiple violations of the gag order that was in place should factor into that request at all?
The judge scheduled a sentencing for July 11th. We will speak in court in that time. He also set a motion schedule. We will speak in our court filings as we've done throughout this proceeding.
Donald Trump has repeatedly targeted you personally and members of your prosecution team. Do you have a response to the former president after this trial is concluded?
I do not.
In February, you decided not to bring a case against Donald Trump. You criticized that. You criticized when you vetted him in March 2023. You criticized when people really started to understand that case.
We're having difficulty hearing the questions. Just bear with us.
I did my job. Our job is to follow the facts and the law without fear or favor. And that's exactly what we did here. And what I feel is just gratitude to work alongside phenomenal public servants who do that each and every day in matters that you all write about and make the press, and in lots of matters that you don't. I did my job. We did our job. Many voices out there. The only voice that matters is the voice of the jury, and the jury has spoken.
Could I ask Mr. Steinglass, many people said the prosecution was masterful and flawless. Just want to know how you feel at this moment. Sorry.
I'll let you go ahead.
How do you feel?
Mr. Steinglass, I think some of you probably saw him speak for a little bit the other day. So he's done his job, as has this team. And he just told me, tell him how I feel. I think you said that. I will just say enormous gratitude. You know, our system, I talked about the jurors at the beginning of my remarks. We have a phenomenal system. 12 everyday New Yorkers. They listen to the judge's directions. They follow the evidence. You saw them in court every day. They were careful and attentive. And so I feel deep gratitude to work alongside them, to be a part of this system. And I just want to echo that this is what we're doing every single day. I mean, during this trial, just this week, right, a ghost gun indictment, Grimaldi's wage theft plea resolution, sex crimes, convictions, all sorts of work that's being done by phenomenal public servants. So we're before you today on this obviously consequential matter, but this is what we do every day. We follow the facts and the law without fear or favor.
If a jail sentence is in the cards, it is likely that Trump and his attorneys would seek a stay on enforcement of that sentence pending appeal. If that were the scenario, would your office object to staying the sentence?
I'm going to let our words in court speak for themselves when we get to the sentencing matter. I'm not going to address hypotheticals. They raise arguments, we'll respond. And I think your question really underscores an important point. This is an active, ongoing matter, right? We have other phases of this going ahead. We will continue to do our speaking about this matter, about issues like that in court.
All right, last one.
From day one, kind of the viability of this case has been questioned.
Liam, what are you talking about? I'm sharing the news. I'm completely impartial. Everyone has a voice. You have a voice. I'm answering your questions. I'm showing you the news that's being broadcast around the world. I've shared different channels. What are you talking about? It's complete ridiculous. I'm being open and honest, as I am a green card holder. I can't vote. I don't vote. I'm just here to help people with the facts and give you a voice. And now you're abusing it.
Of New York.
I'm sorry about
that. These are kind
that.
of cases I've done personally, and it's a hallmark of the tradition of this office that I'm proud to lead.
Oh, I apologize.
I
apologize, Liam. I thought you were directing it at me. Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry about that.
Ruling on the legal theories. We had a state court decision on the omnibus motions. But most importantly, today,
no problem. Everyone's able to have a voice.
That's
the
voice
point.
of the jurors. They have spoken. Donald J. Trump has been convicted of 34 counts of falsifying business records. Thank you.
District Attorney, your office has been investigating this case since
Are you concerned about
2018?
retribution if Trump is elected president?
You went to the Supreme Court twice. Any comment
Okay.
on that?
Okay, so we'll just mute that there. So what we'll do now, we'll give you the opportunity to call in. If you want to have your say, I said everyone can have the opportunity to call in. You can call in, you can have your say, but because we don't want people swearing and shouting, we've had people coming on inappropriate, doing all kinds of things to protect the channel from that, protect from the nonsense that we might get or whatever, which we don't want, of course. We're going to do our best to prevent that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go members only for a few moments. That way, only members can call in. We literally do not want crazy people behaving inappropriately live on my channel. That's not what this channel is about. So if you want to call in for the next few minutes, have your say, you can. So we're going to go members only. I'm going to give everybody the link. You can become a member for a couple of bucks. It's not expensive. Anyone can do it. There's the membership link. If you want to become a member, if you're on an iOS device, you use a browser, select desktop version, and you can become a member of our channel for a couple of bucks, and you can have your say. It's not to make me $2. It's not about that. It's to stop crazy people just being abusive and offensive, and we don't want any of that. Nobody wants that. That doesn't help anyone do anything. So here is the link. This is how you can phone in. You don't require any software, any technology. I take care of all of that. Here is the link. It's martynlucas.com, my website. There it is. There is my link, martynlucas.com. And then all you need then is the password.
CPR has become a member.
Lucas Age 100. There is the password. It is case sensitive. So don't miss out the uppercase L, uppercase A. There is the password. You can call in. You can have your say. You have to be on camera. You have to give your name, and you have to be a member. Otherwise, we're not going to admit you into the channel. Okay. All right, there you go. So, CPR, welcome as a member of our channel. You can now call in. This is where the interview screen is.
He put it
right here. This is the interview screen. You will be in here, and we can have as many people on that want to speak. Once everyone has had their opinion and their say, we'll wrap up tonight's show because it's been a very long night for me, and I want to get off and have my dinner. I'm very, very hungry, but I want to give everyone the chance to have their say tonight. We go out to 62 countries and 14 languages. So if whatever opinion that you have a voice here tonight live on the show. All right, so if you want to call in, there you go. You can call in. We'll give you a couple of seconds. If nobody calls in, that's absolutely fine. We won't bother. We'll wrap it up and I'll go and have my dinner. All right, so no problem at all.
Tomorrow it may be more confrontational. He may feed off that at this particular time in an environment and a context where clearly his status has changed. In the course of a 5-week trial, Donald Trump has had a criminal rebrand, and he needs to build his way out of that through this political campaign to come all the way to November.
Yeah, so symbolic, James, because when you think about it, who could forget that image of Donald Trump coming down the escalators and announcing himself as the
I don't think anybody wants to have their say. That doesn't surprise me. People get very angry, but actually don't want to have their say when it comes down to it. So we're going to mute the audio just for a moment, and we're going to go back over to the markets because we can see how the stock price has been affected by this. We're going to see the market drop. It's still down. You can see there is the news. There's the information. And there is, as you can see, there is the stock price. The stock market is going down. Nobody wants to call in and have their say. Don't say tomorrow you didn't have a voice. Don't say you were silenced. Don't say media is corrupt or fake news. Everybody had a chance to call in. Everybody had a chance to say something. If you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. Let's end the poll. Let's see how the poll ends. Do you agree with the convictions? 71% said no. Let's end the poll here on YouTube. Let's go over to the poll on X. We were running as well. It's pinned to the top. This was the poll. This is how it ends. It says here, do you agree with the verdict? Please vote in the poll. And how will the US be seen by the rest of the world? 60% here, because on X we were able to give you a third option of undecided. So only 34% agree, 60% say no, and 5% say undecided. Okay, so there is your opinion on X. Alrighty then, we'll end there. I think we're pretty much done for the evening. Let's hear what's being said here.
Has been convicted of falsifying business records in the first criminal trial of a former president. It is, as we've been reporting, the first time in history that a former US president has been convicted of a crime. Speaking after the verdict, we heard from Donald Trump, who described the case as a rigged case and a disgrace. Let's just have a listen to what he had to say.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial.
You have to remember, when he says it was rigged, he and the other side agreed to the jury.
Everybody knows what happened here.
So,
you have a Soros-backed
just
DA,
saying that.
And the whole thing, we didn't do a thing wrong. I'm a very innocent man, and it's okay. I'm fighting for our country. I'm fighting for our Constitution. Our whole country is being rigged right now. This was done by the Biden administration in order to wound or hurt an opponent, a political opponent. And I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end and we'll win, because our country's gone to hell. We don't have the same country anymore. We have a divided mess. We're a nation in decline, serious decline. Millions and millions of people pouring into our country right now, from prisons and from mental institutions, terrorists, and they're taking over our country. We have a country that's in big trouble, but this was a rigged decision right from day one, with a conflicted judge who should have never been allowed to try this case, never. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over. Thank you very much.
So there we go. We've covered the news for you this evening. We are done. We're going to end the broadcast there. I just wanted to come on and mark this historic evening. What do you think about that? How it's going to be seen around the world tomorrow? Do expect the markets to be volatile tomorrow. Donald Trump's stock, I expect to see it crash because, as we've already seen, it's already crashing. I don't think it's going to be kept up for very long. Personally, remember, I'm completely impartial. Everyone has a voice. Everyone can say what they want here, as long as they're polite and respectful. But I'm here to bring you the news, bring you the facts, and that is it. Provide a voice for everyone. Sadly, nobody wanted to have an opinion and call in. That's a shame, but that's your choice. I hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. I'm going to get off. Thank you so much, Antonio Dela Cruz, for supporting the stream. Thank you for those that gave me a super chat tonight. Just so you know, in case there's any doubt whatsoever, we have had during tonight's stream, I like to share this so people can see exactly what is going on. Let me share with you on the screen here. You can see we had 500 people tonight throughout the stream. This live stream earns about $1 per 1,000. I've made 51.5 cents this evening. It's not been about the money at all. It's about providing a service to my viewers.
Antonio de la Cruz donated $4.99 through a super chat. Trump raised fist.
Thank you very much. I've now just earned $5.50. Thank you very much for everyone's support. I tried to give you the news as it was from all angles, asking you for your opinions as an Englishman, asking Americans what you feel about this. I did the best I can. I've been live for a couple of hours. I'm going to get off. This was after hours. I'm exhausted. I need to go and have something to eat. But just understand that this has been given, presented as innocently, impartially, as possible, and for the benefit of my viewers. But I do anticipate the markets crashing tomorrow. That's great. For me, that should be great for you, the investors, because the business in America hasn't changed, but we will get volatility. It will present opportunities to buy discount stock. Nothing wrong with that. That's great. Bring it on. You know, Apple is Apple. Microsoft is Microsoft. Hasn't changed because of this, but it will affect the markets. It does present opportunity. Those stocks that have no value, of course, those that are struggling with no value, they will suffer greatly tomorrow. The volatility will be all over the place. But anyway, there you go. Thank you for everyone's comments. Martyn, it's probably a good thing. There's a lot of emotion tonight. Probably a good thing no one called in. You're probably right, actually, John. You're probably not wrong there. Does though DJT puts tomorrow morning, I expect the stock to go down. Yes. Hope some played up because people were buying the stock because they thought he'd become president. Maybe he still will. I don't know. Thank you so much, John. That's a very kind comment. Thank you, Martyn. We need more Martyn Lucas news like this. That's very kind of you, Crag. Appreciate that. Crag, buddy. Thanks, Martyn. Thank you, guys. Thanks, John. Ed Nevius. Hi, Crag. And thanks, Ed. What a lovely, supportive crowd. Thank you so much indeed. I'm done. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. And what I'm going to do now is send you now to the extra channel here. So if you wish to continue the conversation, you can. This is behind the scenes, 12 hours a day. We're live here. If you want to talk to our members here behind the scenes and continue the conversation, you can. But that's it from me. Thank you so much indeed. Have a wonderful, pleasant evening, and I'll see you back in the morning when we'll start investing and seeing how we can work our way out of this mess. That's it. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful evening. Until next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.